Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's Between Realities, the VR podcast, and it's Friday, and we're live, and we are so excited to be here and be with you and be doing this amazing show, which I think is amazing. It's amazing, right?
It is. It's amazing. Our people here are amazing. Friday is amazing. Because, you know, I don't know about you, man, but I am ready for the weekend.
The weekend is here, and we are lucky to have some amazing individuals who show up here every Friday when we do the live show and start their weekends with us. It's kind of become the theme lately, I've been noticing, and I am totally okay with that. Like, starting the weekend with Between Realities, like,
heck yeah.
I don't know, I love it. And I guess I'm doing it, right? Like, I'm starting the weekend with Between Realities. But,
and so am I.
And so are you. But maybe it feels different. I don't know. I'm like getting real. I'm starting to realize that myself. You know, this is the way I also start the weekend. Yeah. You know, so anyway,
beautiful thing.
It really is.
Hanging out with all the homies.
All of the homies, indeed. How's your week been, by the way?
It's been good. It's been super busy. Which is why I'm really excited to start the weekend and try not to think about work and stuff.
Yeah, Vertigo is keeping you busy.
They are. They definitely are.
Vertigo, what are you guys doing? All right, like, you can't be like pushing him so hard. You know, like you're gonna start slapping on extra responsibilities. He's gonna need a little bit of incentive. Okay, so Vertigo Games. Don't chase this guy away.
That's not. I love them. I love all the people I work with. Well, so yeah, you know, just sometimes things get busy. That's what they pay me for. So
true that. And to be busy in the world of VR, I would say is a good thing.
Oh, right? Absolutely. Yep.
So let's get this weekend started. Endeavor One in the chat. Weekend RE hype incoming. Is the RE Resident Evil? It must be, right? Everybody's talking about Resident Evil.
I would think so. Yeah.
Resident Evil is a big deal, and we should dive into some of that today. Papa Boney in VR. Let's do this. I've been checking out Papa Boney, and I have been meeting up for some morning gaming sessions lately.
Excellent.
It's been good. Yeah, he and I and Diego, the game cat, in our Between Realities Discord. His name is Fuzzy Bullocks on Oculus.
Nice.
So anyway,
nice.
I've been trying to game a lot more lately in the mornings, by the way. It's like if I wake up in the morning and like people are ready, I will just like first thing, like bam, right into the headset. You know, I'm trying to like get into those early morning sessions.
I'm right into work, so not me.
Yeah, so you know, you got to wake up at my hour.
Nope.
Want to get
no, thank
get
you.
Up at 6 a.m. Come on.
I mean, I get up at 7 a lot because I got to bring my kid to school. But yeah, that's good enough.
And if it hasn't happened by now, right? Like, it's just not going to. Short Stack is here. What's up? Weekend time, baby. Stack. That's right.
How you doing, buddy?
Mike Newton, just the weekend. Just that's it. Say no more, my friend. Mike Newton. Surgical Gaming is here. Friday with the lads. That's right. Friday night with the lads. Indeed.
What's up, dude?
Fun with the clicks. Time to start the weekend off. Oh, amen. Hey, I'll be back later. That's from Paradise Decay. Let us know when you make it back, PD. Is he going to start from where we are live? Or
no, we're just going to wait right here until he's back.
Yeah.
No one say anything.
We're
waiting for PD.
Everyone shut up and wait. Glitch Fandango's here. Good evening. Glad you made it, Glitch.
What's up, Glitch? How are you?
Good to see you. I also got to jump into a round of After the Fall with Glitch the other day. It was really awesome.
I'm jealous. I want to play with Glitch.
Yeah. Glitch. Me, you, Skiva, somebody else from
Let's
chat.
Make it happen.
Boom. Master mode. Or was that?
Well, there's only yeah.
Master mode?
Just a master run.
Yeah, yeah. Master run. That's what it is.
Yep.
German Rifter, hype. Dude. Daniel, so good to see you, man. How you feeling?
What's up, buddy?
We miss you.
Yes, we do.
Will you come to America or something?
Yeah, come hang out with us. Let's go.
Just do it. Ashley Huffman's here. Super hyped for this.
What's up,
good
Ashley?
to see you. Ashley, Traveling Man 3775. Hey, guys.
What's up?
Creeper Betty, PSVR. Happy Friday, everyone. Tab Games is getting hyped.
Oh, Justin, how's it going?
Justin from Tab Games. Check out Samurai Slaughterhouse, everybody. Sadly, it's Bradley in the house with the Pog.
Hey, Bradley, how's it going?
Bradley's Pog. He's Bog. He's the boy of the game.
He is.
Andy's VR Reviews in the house. What up? Oh, with the super chat too, by the way.
Oh, thank
Andy's
you.
VR Reviews. Says thanks for the Atlas code. I got some of those Atlas mystery puzzle game codes.
Oh, nice.
He scooped up one of them and is paying it forward with the super chat of $15, saying finally got some time to try it out this weekend. Well, let me know how it is.
Yeah. Awesome.
Rezel VR is here. Yo, what's up? And Florian Fahrenberger, the dude, said people jumping over from GT. Oh, GT must have had a video going on.
Oh, I wonder if he should have rated us. I guess that's a thing now.
That'll be so cool.
I don't think they call it rating on YouTube, but yeah, you can pass over your live streamers.
Rift Traveler in the house is here. Oh, that's right. Jansen Fox. Yeah, finally make it back to these.
What's up?
That's right, dude.
How's it going?
Thomas McNostril. Hey.
McNostril.
McNostril.
Okay. Cool.
We got
What's up?
Mickey Burr in the house. We got Techno Glitch in the house.
Hey there.
Oh, Chi-Town D from the Q2C podcast.
D, what is happening?
Z-Storm Games is here, the homie.
Z.
Arcanian is here, another homie.
How's it going?
I just that's got to be it, right? That's okay. Whew, geez, man, it's so good to see you all. We've got somebody waiting, and this is somebody who we are very excited to have on the show. We're usually excited to have our guests, if I'm being totally honest. But, this one I think is good. This is a special one. This is a guy who's been in the VR industry for forever. For basically as long as it's been in industry. He's the co-founder of Road to VR, one of the very, very best news outlets out there. By the way, this is an Upload VR correspondent broadcast. By the way, you might be watching us on uploadvr.com, and that's pretty cool, especially because this is also Road to VR at the same time. It's really exciting. Please welcome to Between Realities, Ben Lang. What's up, dude?
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here.
Thank you for joining us. How are you doing, man? You feeling all right?
I'm feeling all right. I've been, as you mentioned, in this VR space for quite some time. So, I've seen a lot of the roller coaster ride, and it's always exciting. There's always new stuff. And yeah, it's a really incredible place to be paying attention to. I'm really glad that I managed to make my career in this space.
Were you like us where you didn't really have a choice? I didn't choose this. I was just living my life. And then all of a sudden VR happened to me. And it's like, oh, well, I guess that's the coolest thing in the universe. That's my life now. Did it happen? Did it happen like that for you, or is your story a little different?
It's a little different. It's definitely a passion thing, but there wasn't as much, VR happening to me. It was much more of a kind of philosophical sci-fi interest. So I started Road to VR back in 2011, which was like a year before the Oculus Kickstarter, right? So prior to that, the only VR that really continued to exist like post, the late 80s, early 90s kind of early VR times was like crazy high-end military, like medical stuff, super niche, super expensive VR stuff. So it was like it was stuff I basically only vaguely knew about. But I was very interested in this idea of VR and like what its maximum potential was. It's like, okay, if the thesis that we can kind of fool our senses and create a total fake reality, if that's correct, what does that look like when we hit the Matrix? Like, what does it look like way out there, like 100 years, 200 years, when it is indistinguishable from real life? And I was like, that's what could be more amazing than a technology that can manifest anything we could imagine. So that for me was like the seed that was like, okay, that's interesting. Is it possible? Like, will we get there? And that was sort of the question that drove me to even the name of the site, Road to VR. Was like, I kind of want to chart like where is VR today, starting in 2011, and where is it going, right? Like, is it on that path to this Matrix level VR technology? And through that, I just have been kind of plotting that course the whole time and seeing the whole industry evolve and all this stuff. So different, but absolutely started from a place of passion. And that's why I do this, right? Like, I'm not I wasn't trained as a journalist. I am not a huge writer, actually. A lot of people are surprised to find that I don't do a lot of creative writing or anything. All of that kind of came out of wanting to share this interesting technology, this information, and kind of let people know what's going on and where it's all heading. And so, yeah, that's how I got in here.
This is going to be a really good episode.
Absolutely. I mean,
you couldn't answer that question any better for me.
Right.
I don't
Same.
even, there's a million places to go with that. So this is really exciting because we love to look at this technology from a philosophical perspective. So I really want to dive into some of this stuff. I feel like it's a little soon, right? But
heck no.
I mean, kind of is. Okay. So the first thing I want to know is, what were you doing before Road to VR happened? Like, what was like your background before you started down this journey?
Sure. So prior to Road to VR, I have been doing a small amount of tech journalism focused in kind of like the pre-smartphone days, kind of gadgets, right? Gadgets and gizmos was kind of, I was writing for some other publications, and I actually started doing that when I was in high school. So I kind of learned the trade, just kind of picked that up from people that I was working with, and just being kind of, an early internet, denizen, and kind of just picked up that skill set as I went along. So I kind of I kind of learned reporting that way just by doing. And by the time that I had got into college, I was like, okay, I've got this skill set now. Like, I know how to gather, analyze, and report information. I should try doing something kind of on my own. And that really could have been anything. Like, I had a list at some point of like 10 completely disparate topics that were interesting to me, one of which was virtual reality. And so, I was in college at the time, and I just started Road to VR as kind of a side project, and to kind of be like, can I kind of do some of this on my own? And again, this was not a time where it was like, oh, here's a business opportunity. I had zero thought at that time that this was going to become a job, that VR was going to become an industry. Really, it was like pure curiosity. Like, where is this technology? Like, why haven't I heard about it? Since the 90s. And yeah, so that was the early days. And then I studied design in college. And when I graduated, VR was like just at its first kind of inflection point, where Facebook had just recently bought Oculus. Everybody was, eyes on Facebook, like, what the hell is this social media company doing, buying a virtual reality company? This was like mind blowing at the time, right? It's funny to look at it now because everyone just knows, Meta, Facebook, they are Oculus, all that stuff. All these companies are in here. But back then, it was like the broader tech industry, right? Your Amazons and your Microsofts and that sphere was like, what? Mm-hmm. And it made mainstream news. Like, I remember seeing on like ABC News, my parents would watch. It was like, they were like, Facebook bought this company, right? It was a very, very interesting moment. So anyway, as I graduated, I kind of had these two paths before me, which was my design studies were on art direction and advertising side, and so it was kind of like, well, do I just like go to that career just kind of that way, or I've been working on this Road to VR thing, which is growing rapidly, and I was like, I gotta follow this and see where it goes. And I did, and here I am, about 11 years later, and still at it. So pretty glad I made that turn when I did.
Are you glad? Has it been awesome or what?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part.
Oh, I said, are you glad? Like, has it been awesome?
Yeah, it really has been, and it's because, like I said, it comes from a place of passion. I'm a really kind of curious person by nature, and that means I want to like learn. And part of the motivation for being like, why don't I do this little side project thing, was like, I had found out in the prior tech journalism, I was like, I learned a lot about the stuff I was writing about. Like, obviously, you have to like learn a lot in order to synthesize the information and give useful information to people. So it's kind of like, I was like, if I want to like become an expert at something, like, I might as well do this, like, do it as a blog, like learn about it and just gather all that information and soak it up. And yeah, that's been incredibly fulfilling. Just getting to see, as I often say, getting to report on the work that a lot of really smart people are doing is a very nice gig. And yeah, it has been a really, really cool journey. A lot of interesting ups and downs, watching the industry, all the different players. And like, it's crazy because it's, even now, 11 years later, it's like we're still kind of in the early days, which is strange, but also very exciting. One day VR will become kind of just an everywhere technology, and won't be as exciting. It'll be like getting our smartphones out, being going
right.
Twitter.
I remember in the 90s, right, doing Dactyl Nightmare and one of the old headsets, virtuality or something. I'm pretty sure is what it was called, the giant CRT headset. And of course, then I was like, oh, here it comes. It's right around the corner.
Yeah.
But it took a little bit longer than I think a lot of us expected. But, they say sometimes you have to wait for good things. And VR is phenomenal. It's just getting better and better and better. And definitely worth the wait.
Virtual Steve is here. What's up, dude? Good to see you. Duggars K in the house. Late to the show, but I made it. That's right, baby. You're here. Nathy is here, saying he wants to hear about the 3D head from Ben. Maybe we'll be able to get into that. We've got Henry Ventura in the house. A little Smash Drums VR game. That's probably our dude, Mr. Potham. What's up, baby? Oh, €5 super chat from Sampler19.
Thanks, Sampler.
Best start into the weekend. That's right, baby. V Roy boy, you guys are great. First time here. Yo, thank you.
Oh, thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Like and subscribe. Join our Discord. Diego Darko, the super fat game cat, said he can't have a wicked show. He looks forward to watching it early in the morning. Well, I hope you hear this exact moment. All right, make sure you watch it early enough to catch this. Yeah, we are caught up. So how big is Road to VR, by the way? How big has the company gotten?
In terms of people, it's really just 3 core people, as it has been for quite a long time. We're a pretty lean outfit. So it's me and my co-founder Paul, and then our editor Scott Hayden. And we've worked with lots of different freelancers over the years, and continue to do that as needed. But really, we're just kind of a small distributed team, and we get as much of the most interesting stuff that we can out there.
That's good. Oh, get to the choppa. Just drop kicked the like button. That's good, buddy. We need more people to drop kick or just like get violent with the like button and the subscribe button. The more violently you hit it, the better.
Break your mouse.
So there was this really cool moment. We were in San Francisco for the Metastore opening, and that was cool. We went out there as upload correspondents, and we didn't realize it when we had made the plans, but a bunch of other people also were going at the same time as us. Mainly speaking, the Oculus ambassadors, like there was all those YouTubers, like we're all there in town, and we didn't know we were going to meet them until after we'd already booked it. So we were super excited once we got to go. And we went to the Metastore, and it's like pretty structured, it was like, hey, you're here from this time to this time. And we went way over our time, and they were really nice about it. But once they were done with us, they were like done with us. And we had some time to kill, so we walked across the little street there on the campus to this coffee shop. And I got a breakfast sandwich, and we all got coffees, and we're just like sitting there. Skiva's banging some workout on his laptop, and I'm on Twitter messing around, and I see a Twitter post. A tweet is what they're called. They're called tweets. I'm calling it a Twitter post. It's a Twitter post. Calling it a tweet's weird to me.
Getting old, Alex.
Do you love calling it a tweet? It just sounds dumb to me.
Yeah, it is what it is, though.
Oh, man, did you tweet that? I tweeted that. Oh, that is a verb, just weird. Anyway,
it is.
I saw a tweet from Mr. Ben Lang, and it was a ping on his like Google Maps, it's like a marker like showing him on the GPS like where he's standing. And I look at the GPS thing, and I look around, and I realized that GPS marker the pin is like exactly where we are sitting, like right there. Like we were literally standing right next to the pin on the thing on the tweet. And I was like, no way. And I like went outside and like looked around to see if I saw
Alex run out the door. It was kind of funny
outside. And I didn't see him outside. And then I ended up, shooting you a DM, and you're like, yep, I'm in the store. I'm wearing a blue shirt. So we went over and knocked on the door, and we're like, hey, I know we were here earlier, but we just want to meet somebody. And then we like stalked you and waited for you to come out of this room, and had a moment with you there. And that was really awesome. I just wanted to make sure I could share that story.
That was our first time getting to meet in person. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
It was awesome.
Totally happenstance.
Yeah, it was super, super cool. And, probably the catalyst for getting you on the show right here, so even more awesome as far as I'm concerned. What did you think, by the way, of the Metastore?
It was interesting. I mean, it's kind of your typical polished retail store, right? It's interesting though, because like it's the right move, right? More so than any other technology out there, consumer technology probably. VR is something that you have to try. And if you have never tried it, there's 1,000 assumptions about what it's like. People just graft ideas of 3D TV, or I used a Kinect before, or I've played Wii. That's just, you take the things that and you say that's probably what this is, but it's really not, right? Everybody who tries it is like totally blown away. I just never thought it was going to be this good. Everyone has that reaction, and it's a very interesting problem to have, right? A lot of products have sort of the reverse problem, where it's easy to explain what it is, and the actual experience is like, right?
Mm-hmm.
VR or various VR products are like below like 95% of people's minds, right? As long as you can get them to try it. So obviously they're getting them to try it part is really hard. So a physical retail store, it's the right play. And they're going to need to be all over the place. And Facebook, Meta, they've known this for a long time. They've had a lot of partnerships with Best Buy and a lot of places to have little kiosks and things. But, it's clear that they want to do an Apple Store type thing where they're going to roll out these stores and just be able to have people come in and, kind of low pressure situation, just put on a headset and see it. And that's going to be really, really useful for word of mouth and all that stuff. That's a long way off though, which is, the sense I got from the store. Cool experience if you were like us and we were just kind of some invited people, not very busy in there, getting to, all of the people want to help you and are trying to show you everything as a tour. But one thing that struck me a lot in there, despite everything being like cool from that standpoint, one thing that struck me was their VR demo. Like presumably a major part of this store is to give VR demos. Major part of the reason it exists is to give VR demos. Like a good quarter, if not third of the store is literally space dedicated to giving a VR demo, right? But it's only one VR demo, which kind of surprised me, right? Yeah, it's their first store, it's their flagship store. Others, I'm sure that will be different, but anybody who's like worked in this out of home VR space knows like the most challenging parts are like the space it requires and like what that means for throughput, for getting people in and out like fast. Like if it takes you too long to do that, you're just never going to run a profitable operation. If you have like too much space so that you have too few stations, you're never going to run a profitable thing. It's basically like how restaurants work in terms of optimizing the number of people who can sit at tables, how fast they get people in, how fast they get people out. So the Meta Store has basically a single station for doing a VR demo. And it's like at least 15 minutes from like the person starting, like signing in, to taking the headset off, like after they did the demo, which means, just multiply that by the number of hours that the store is open in a day. It's just very minimal throughput compared to what you would want it to be if your goal is to just like get as many people to try this so that we have this word of mouth and they can spread it to everybody else.
And so, half of that time, half of those 15 minutes is spent with some friction crap. Like, okay, sign this waiver, fill out this form.
It was like 5 things I had to agree to. Yep. I was like, geez, this is, if anyone was trying to read this, you'd do 2 demos in a day, right? It was literally like 3 at least different fine print things. You had to be like, yes, I guess, waivers. I thought that was a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I think what they're really leaning on there is that huge social screen. And which is insane because they're using their solution for mixed reality capture because they don't want to have everybody standing in a big green room, Yeah. So they are relying on a mixed reality capture image being big enough and like watching the person there with that screen and them connecting those dots. Like they see the guy in the headset, they see the guy on the screen, and they're like, oh, he's in there. Like he is actually in there. And then maybe that sparks the curiosity to then be like, maybe I really do need to demo this, or maybe I should just, I don't know if I would buy it. That would be enough to just go out and buy it. It would be for someone like me, but probably not for the regular consumer. But I feel like they're leaning on that social output of their mixed reality capture to like one friend tries it and the other 3 are like, whoa. And then he comes out and he's like, no, this is the real deal, bro. We should get these, and then like the other 3 don't have to do it kind of thing,
Yeah, well, once you try it, you want to buy it, right? I mean, me and Alex here have done, we've covered a lot of conventions, but we've actually gone and done conventions where we show people VR, right? We've brought all our equipment in and pushed hundreds and hundreds of people through VR demos. And one of the questions we get almost every time is, are you guys selling these? Can I buy this right now?
Right. True that.
And no, we don't.
Maybe
Sorry.
you should.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But yeah, you need to be able to try it, and then you need to be able to pull that trigger as quickly as possible on getting it. So,
I mean, how do you feel about Meta's position in the industry at this point? Like, I mean, obviously, without Meta's influence, we wouldn't be where we are, but is that enough? What are your thoughts when you think about this company?
Yeah, it's a really weird kind of situation because in many ways, the leading company out there right now in the VR space, it's really easy. It's weird to be criticizing them ever, right? Because it's like, this isn't good, but it's like they're doing it better than anybody else in many regards.
Yeah.
So that's weird. And then I think though it's like, it seems weird, but it's not, because the thing is, as the leaders, there's not a lot of people kind of pushing them along right now. There's very minimal competition. They can just kind of throw whatever out there and we get what they give us. And there's not a lot of companies right now that are in a position to be like, we're doing this better than you, and we're going to grab all those people who don't like what that is. And that is something that VR had previously for a while, but once Facebook really started leaning like their full weight and becoming Meta, pivoting almost their entire company in this metaverse XR direction, once they really started leaning into it, subsidizing the hell out of the hardware, it's just there's like 10 companies in the world that can really compete directly on that front, and none of them are doing it yet. So I think VR really needs that. Just being able to sort of rest on their laurels is not good for them in the long run, or really the industry in the long run. So I think one example is like if anyone follows me on Twitter, I have complained a lot about some like missing basic functionality that seems pretty straightforward in their major headset, which is Quest 2, which is like, I want to just be able to very easily just pop into a room with another user that has a Quest 2, like in like a click, right? And just be able to just talk with them, like do this in VR very easily, but it's not easy, and that's why we're not doing it. And so that kind of like blows my mind. And yet they don't have that yet, but they're trying to build like a multi-user, multi-metaverse, Horizon worlds. They're trying to do this big thing before they do the simple thing, which it's just weird. It's like trying to, I don't know, it's trying to build Discord before you have mastered the phone call. And that kind of frustrates me in a way, and I think that's where a lot of my criticism comes from. But again, it's like, yeah, no one else is doing it better either. So yeah, kind of a weird place to be in right now.
It's a tough situation because a lot of people and a lot of companies and a lot of eyes are on VR because Meta is making a splash. They're showing that this is a viable thing that can make money. The store is doing pretty well, right? But if you're a smaller entity or a smaller company and you want to get in on this and make headsets and compete, it's very difficult because there's supply chain issues. You have to be able to order the parts and get them for these headsets that you want to create. And that's very tough unless you have a lot of backing, a lot of funding where you can pre-buy, chips and all the things that you need to do to secure the parts that you need to make your headset. So it's like a tough situation.
And like Ben said, they're subsidizing the price of the hardware.
Yeah.
So like, a normal consumer is not us. They're not sitting here weighing all of these options and understanding what Meta's doing behind closed doors. They're just like, what gets me the best headset for the least amount of money? Period.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
That is it. Yeah. And there's no one that can compete. No one will ever put out a headset that's as good as the Quest 2 for less. It's just not going to happen. They can't afford it.
Not at this moment, unless a major player comes through, right? We're seeing some competitors now trying to enter the market, like Pico, and they're kind of dipping their toes in. And okay, it's safe to do this, and maybe we can do it this way. And as they kind of start pushing into different countries, but they're a ByteDance company. They are going to have a lot of the same issues, whether it be ethically or they're just going to have a lot of these same issues for us, and it's a tough situation. So I mean, on one hand, we're lucky, right, to have a company like Meta that's willing to just ignore profits and just dump money into all this and the research and development of making this technology a thing.
And putting money in the pockets of developers that are creating software. You know, like now people can make a living by having a company that makes VR games because Oculus has gotten enough headsets out there, you know?
Yeah, it's a strange thing. There's a lot of pros and a lot of cons, and there's a lot of head scratching and a lot of wondering, like, why are they doing this? This doesn't seem right? But then they're doing a lot of good things. So I totally get it.
Reese the King dropping a super chat. He's not going to stay. Dude, he's not staying. What? I'd rather have you stay than take your super chat, man.
I know, Reese. Thanks for coming by,
Thank you for dropping in. He said, happy Friday, guys and gals. Sadly, I can't stay today, but I'll be watching the video of the day later. I just wanted to pop by and say hi to you both and donation, high five you, and also, hey, Ben, much love. Thank you, dude. That's $8.99, and that's more expensive than a dollar. The dollar is just going down. You know, we got to go get some of that European money. It's worth more. So thank you, Reese, for giving us some of those sweet Kingdom credits. VR Bros is also here.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Talking about how anti-competitive Meta is with their software, and if who said it? They quoted Six saying if they can't copy it, they'll buy it. Gamertag VR is here, and it looks like he brought some of his stream over, so thank you, GT.
What's up, GT? Good Thanks for coming.
Maybe the highlight of my trip to the Metastore, by the way, was just sitting at a table with GT,
just hanging out,
just hanging. It's just me and GT until Skiva shows up, and then it's just me, GT, and Skiva, and nothing, you know, just killing time, just sitting, killing
hours and hours,
yucking it up. Just
a great guy. Absolutely great guy.
It was a great time for me, GT. I hope you know that.
Same here, buddy.
So, you know, Meta. so the reason why Skiva doesn't like Meta is for, you know, some of the more like deeper ethical issues, right?
Yes.
Like the invasion of privacy and how the company's entire business model is designed to harvest data and sell it to advertisers. And, you know, Ben, with your perspective on the potential of this technology, understanding how things like biometric data are going to come into effect and how valuable that data is actually going to be, are you concerned about Meta's future in the industry as a result of the valuable information that they're going to have on all of us in the, I'm guessing, somewhat near future, next 10 years, 20 years?
Yeah, I think it's concerning really no matter who is holding the keys. It's the fact that anyone's holding the keys at all. You know, the Meta wants, their stated goal is to get 1 billion people in VR. And to think about how real VR can feel when you're in there, and how dedicated people can become to kind of their virtual selves, you know, layer on commerce where you're buying stuff that you're paying real money for clothes. Like this is coming, absolutely. Buying, you know, little gizmos and gadgets that are virtual that people have made. Like, so it's only going to become more real from here on out, less game and more like I'm personally invested in this virtual world. And the fact that any one company kind of controls like all that, depending upon, you know, which platform you're in. The fact that, you know, like if you spent years and years and years of your life taking great photographs and sharing them on Facebook, and then one day you wake up, Facebook's banned you, like that was, you invested a lot of your life in that, right? And the fact that they can just do that is really problematic. It can change what people choose to do in terms of what they think is appropriate. And when we go from that to like almost as if you know, virtual reality becomes more akin to real life where people hang out and talk and have jobs and things like this, which is kind of what Meta wants to happen, that every single place in your metaverse or virtual reality is like subject to that kind of control over you. It's really, really concerning. And unfortunately, there are a lot of potential solutions, but there are not a lot of market incentives for companies to go after the solutions to those problems when they can just, you know, own the ecosystem. And that is Meta's entire goal, right? I mean, it's to beat their whole reason for this big, ridiculous amount of money and people they're hiring and push into this is to beat other companies to the punch on this. They want to own this space, and you know, maybe they can do some stuff for privacy. But again, it's just that like if this stuff is happening on their servers, it's kind of their call at the end of the day. And yeah, that's kind of a scary place to be in.
Yeah, and what a thing to try to oversee and own, right? I mean, we're not talking here about, you know, Microsoft having a monopoly on some software, or, you know, companies monopolizing certain things. This is monopolizing a reality. This is having direct influence over perception and behavior of all of these people, right? And right now it's just over some games, and eventually they'll start advertising. But this is really being able to control an entire reality as far as what you do, where you go, the type of entertainment that you're subject to, what you're the currency. If Libra or Facebook introduces a cryptocurrency, which I hear might be a thing, right? They'd have control over the ecosystem and the actual money itself. It's huge. It's such a big thing. Plus collecting the data of how you move, what you're looking at, how your eyes move, how your hands move, how your head moves.
I think that's bigger.
Well, it's huge. It's all these are all pieces of a huge puzzle. And like you were saying, Ben, right? It's not necessarily that it's meta. It's that anyone can have this kind of data, right? Because this, you know, we could have like the best VR company in the world, and they come out and they give everyone flowers and roses and you know, and everything's wonderful. But eventually the CEO of that company will be no more, right? We all have an expiration date. We're all going to die someday. We're all going to retire, move on from our careers. Other companies can come in and buy that company. And then all of a sudden, all of that data that's been acquired and all of that control is now in the hands of that next person and that next CEO. And what happens to all of that is all in, you know, it's all how it wants to be used by that person and that new board and that new entity. And it's scary. So anyone having that kind of power and data and control is terrifying.
Well, this is a really crappy spot to be in, you know, because as enthusiasts, we want and ultimately will support the company that is making it happen. That's making it possible. Like we're sitting here talking about Meta. That's good for them. You know, like we make videos wearing a Meta headset, and like we're talking about games that are coming out on the Quest, you know? So like at the end of the day, we are absolutely supporting it. We're basically giving them free advertising all the time. You know, but we know what we know about the company, and it's like you get caught in this,
we're sharing that data with other people so they know, and they can make the right decisions. And when other companies come along, they can kind of decide based on having some of this knowledge, right?
Which is of course great, but that's not really action, right? Like that's not like helping to like maybe prevent one of these terrible things from happening or something. And I'm curious what Ben thinks. Like if you like, can you arm yourself with that knowledge and like do anything, you know, like what can we do as somebody who maybe sees it going down the wrong path, but like loves VR, so like wants it to succeed, but doesn't want it to get really bad? Like, can we like boycott Oculus or something? You know, like what can be done to prevent it from becoming this like horrific dystopian situation?
Yeah, I think awareness is key. At least for, you know, people like us who have some kind of platform, helping other people understand why this matters, I think is really important. If you look, I mean, the reason that we're kind of in this problem in the first place, it's not a VR problem. It is a personal privacy, internet-wide issue, right? And the reason why we're here today is because there was just basically zero thought put into it. In the very early days of the internet, everyone just kind of signed the fine print and didn't really understand the implications. And, you know, the same way that, you know, cigarettes came on the market before we knew they were dangerous, and now we can't completely just say they're not legal anymore. They're kind of grandfathered in, even though you could never have a product on the market today that knowingly causes cancer, right? We have this issue where we can't just like, you know, stop. We can't go back and fix it. We are stuck in the world. The internet is too big of a thing. There's too much that relies on it to just be like, oh, we have to completely untangle this whole mess and like blow up everything at this point in order to fix it. So yeah, and the reason why that happens is because just nobody knew. Nobody knew in the early days of signing up for Facebook. They had no idea that they should even be concerned about about their information online, right? Nowadays, a lot more people are aware of it, and it's because people are talking about it. And this has definitely made Facebook and now Meta be more cognizant of this. They know that this is a hot topic. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to totally fix it, but the more they know that people actually care about this, and that requires people actually knowing about it, the more they know people actually care, the more they're going to try to at least at the minimum bar of where people care. Mm-hmm. And I think there are a lot of people who I've come across in my life who just don't understand sort of like the why privacy is like important kind of thing. And it's always like, well, I have nothing to hide. It's like, this seems like a simple argument, so I don't care. But it's really like, it's really just a lot more like, if you know someone's watching, you just might act differently, right? If you know someone's potentially monitoring you, you might not be 100% yourself. That alone is reason to be like, I want to be as private as possible, right?
Yeah. There's also,
I was just going to say, in the context of Meta and Horizon Home, like, or Horizon Worlds especially, there's like a very distinct example of that, which kind of creeps me out. If you are in that world, and somebody, I don't know the exact triggers that will cause this. Maybe somebody reports you, or someone's just like your account gets flagged for, I don't know, you're being mean or doing something that you shouldn't be. It is possible for moderators in Horizon Worlds to invisibly be standing next to you, listening to you talk to people and interact with them. And that just doesn't feel right? If we were having this conversation on Discord in our little private chat, how weird would it be if somebody who works at Discord could invisibly join our chat and just start listening? You know, it's obvious you do need to have moderation. We need to fix these issues, but that to me just feels like the wrong way to do it. It just doesn't feel right at all. So yeah, I think that there are good reasons to want to know about these things and architect them in the right way, that we don't necessarily have to have people secretly listening in on our conversations to apply all the rules, which in many cases you can be, banned or reported or kicked off for things that are not illegal. It's just not what Meta wants you to be doing on their platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for real. And I love the how you mentioned, like, what if someone jumped into our Discord call and was just listening? Because that to me is very much the same as going, well, I'm not hiding, I'm not doing anything wrong, so why do I have to worry about this? So that to me says, okay, well, why can't we just connect to your phone calls as you're having private conversations? Why don't we turn your walls glass so everyone walking by can see what you're doing at all times? They can see all of your private moments, right? They can see how you spend your time, when you go to the bathroom, like all of these things. It's not the best argument. It's a very lazy argument, I should say, to say, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, I have nothing to hide. So
Smash Drums, Mr. Potham said he came here to say hi and he can't wait to watch the replay, and he went ahead and just dropped a €19.99 super chat.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, dude. Single, that was like the sentimental air horn, it was like, like from the heart. Thank you, Potham. We appreciate you, man. So what you guys are talking about is, to me, that's like the first layer. That's like layer one. That's like, hey, close the door, I don't want anybody to watch me take my pants off, kinds of privacy. But like the stuff that scares me is like biometric data, because your body like does stuff, and that you don't register at a conscious level. So like when it like notices your eye flicker, you don't realize that you looked at that image of that can for 2 seconds longer than everything else in the room. You're just in the room, but they know, and they're like taking all of this information and creating a profile that is basically rebuilding you as a person out of your biometrics, to the point where they will know things about us that we won't be privy to. They'll have information. They'll know us better than we know ourselves when it comes to certain things with that kind of information.
For sure, yeah.
And that is insane, because now I'm losing agency of myself. If they know things that I will react to at a subliminal level that I'm not aware of, they can start putting stuff in front of me that they know I'm going to react to at a subliminal level.
That's the point.
Which is messed up. So to me, it's less like, hey, don't watch me while I change my pants in my bedroom. And it's more, hey, don't learn who I am better than me. You don't have the right to like study my subliminal biometrics to learn what I react to, because that gives them a completely unfair advantage when it comes to this kind of thing, you know, and that's what scares me the most personally.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, and awareness here is key, because, you know, there will be more competition. There will be other players coming in. And like we were saying before, though, it's not good for any of these people to have this kind of data. It doesn't necessarily mean that anyone's going to be better at what they're doing with this stuff than Meta. I mean, it just kind of is what it is. I feel like we need, just as a society, we need to be able to say what's okay and what's not, what's allowed to be collected and what's not for anyone.
Meta, you're not allowed to do that. All right? I'm telling you right now.
You heard it here.
You're not allowed to study my eye flickerings. And you're not allowed to study my head movements and to advertise me based on subliminal and subconscious triggers.
This is a really kind of interesting conversation in that, you know, for some reason, VR, XR, this whole thing, it is extremely easy to be like, oh, it's a dystopia, or oh, it's a utopia. And really, that's never going to be the case, right? It's going to be a combination of both, just like every technology ever has been.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's tempting to run off down the dystopia trail, and sometimes tempting to run off on the utopia trail. But really, yeah, it's going to be a lot messier, and there will be a lot of upsides and a lot of downsides.
Right. You know, that's the one thing that came to my brain. By the way, I need to address this. V-Roy boy, VR-Roy boy. Is it V-Roy or VR-Roy? I think it's V-Roy. V-Roy boy, the VR boy, dropping just a super chat here with a crazy new currency for me. Like I didn't have enough, buddy. He says, you guys are great. Hearing you all the time in a Google podcast. First time on your live stream. Sweet.
Oh, thanks. Thanks
Much
for coming.
better, right?
Yeah.
Like, look at this. You know what I'm saying? This is a fancy thing that's going on. Thumbs up from Israel. Here is a new currency for you, Alex. Shekel.
Yes.
Wait, so this is a shekel? We got 30 shekels? Or your name is Shekel?
I think that's a shekel.
It sounds like a currency.
Man, we're
It's
going to
like
have a
schmeckles.
currency podcast.
I know. Welcome to the currency podcast where everyone donates to us.
And we talk
in
about
a bunch of different
money they have.
Man, you're onto something. Yeah, you're onto something. Thank you for the donation from Israel. Yes. That's so exciting.
Awesome. Very cool.
And thanks for listening. By the way, if you're listening to this on the audio versions, thank you. You know, like it takes Skiva a decent amount of extra time to make sure it lands there every week. And we do literally doing that for you. Like if you're the one listening to it, thanks for not making it a waste of time for Skiva.
Yeah. And we also are one of the testers for Anchor. .fm having our video podcast up there as well. So you can listen, you can watch both on Anchor and YouTube. And then, you know, there's Spotify and iTunes and all that where you can listen to the audio. So however you consume this podcast, thank you so much for being here.
Dude, the donation train is it's like still on the tracks. It hasn't reached the station yet. It's left the old station. It's on the tracks. It's moving between destinations because Doc Chalk is in the house with a $10 super chat. Bam! With a you guys rule. Proud of you, sons, but not that proud. Thank you. Like, it wouldn't be the same if like we didn't have some kind of tension, you know. Be proud, but don't give it all to us, you know. But, so thank you, Doc. Really appreciate you, man. And thank anyone who has been donating or is a Patreon here. We are so grateful to have the additional funds to continue to improve things around here because we do need it. That is for sure.
Yep, definitely.
Mash Daddy Cool just showing up. Yo, I made it.
Hey, what's up, Eric?
Thanks for being here, man.
How's it
so
going?
we were just kind of diving into like some of the dystopian views of our future, you know, near and maybe somewhat distant. But we can flip the coin now, you know, we can flip, turn the page, you know, move on to this, to a different perspective.
Right. Because we wouldn't be doing this if it was all bad.
True that. and to be honest, Ben, like, I think that like the dystopian conversation is a really important one to get like smart people like your perspective on, you know, because like for me, it's hard to navigate that, you know, like it's hard to navigate this idea of knowing that I'm like contributing to a company that like may end up being like the demise of society or something. You know what I mean? Like I struggle with that. So it's good to get some perspective, but I personally am very optimistic about the future, and not just of VR, of just like society and humanity in general. I feel like we are on our way to manifesting a reality that like really puts a lower priority on the low vibration stuff like anger, hate, racism, violence, jealousy, greed, like all of these things that have basically been like pushing everything, and like greed has been like one of those things that has like incentivized people and like really made stuff happen. But I am optimistic that we will experience a reality that participates less in those. And, it's almost like a bit of a pendulum switch. And I think that VR could absolutely be a tool to be used in that. I've said multiple times on our show, and this might be the first time you've heard this perspective from me, Ben, but I actually believe that VR can be used as a tool for self-realization, and I use the example of full body tracking, and how when people get their legs in VR, they look down and they see their legs and they're like kicking and they're looking in a mirror and they're like, I'm here. Wow, there's my legs. But then you can take off the headset and like you realize that you never think like that in your real life. Like you never look down at your legs and say like, no, I'm here though. Like there I am. Like it can be used to help people wake up and like actually realize that they're here. That to me is the potential that our current generation of VR and maybe the near one has. But I know that you saw something when you saw the VR headset, or when you realized what VR was and you started Road to VR. You saw something. You saw this idea of us being able to experience anything. So I am kind of curious, like, what is, in your opinion, like the ultimate potential of this? Like, where are we actually going?
Ultimate potential really is, I think, sort of what you mentioned. It is the ability to experience anything. They're just like, it's like once you can create a technology that gives you a blank canvas and anything essentially is possible inside of it to give yourself any sensory experience, what else is there to do, really? And it's an interesting question, I think, because I'm sure plenty of people have had the thought before, if you could do anything at all ever that you wanted, would any of it be meaningful? And one day we might have to answer that question. Well, maybe not us, but descendants of ours may have to answer the question. We have the Matrix level VR technology. I can think something into existence, a roller coaster. There it is. I'm riding it. Amazing, right? And I could do that 100 times a day. I could do anything, the most fun thing in the world. I could do it instantly. Will that detract from how cool that or fun that thing is when you can't have it constantly? It's going to be an interesting challenge for people in the future, but for now I think we kind of just don't know. But yeah, that ability to basically manifest your dreams, I think, is that ultimate potential. And that's actually something that was another one of those sort of drivers for me. Was the reason I thought it might be possible to ever have the Matrix vision, maybe even the proof for me, was I am a lucid dreamer sometimes, which for people who are unfamiliar means I sometimes become aware that I'm in a dream and can control the dream to some extent. And I have had, incredible experiences, feeling of flying, feeling of being on the roller coaster and the, stomach falling, and truly feeling those in your body, right? And that's your brain generating that for you. And so, like, I kind of felt from those experiences like it should be perfectly possible to trick your brain into any experience if your brain can already do that itself naturally. So VR is almost like taking that ability for our brain to generate any experience for us and like putting it in our hands, which is wild.
I'm so glad you brought up lucid dreaming, because lucid dreaming for me has been like a pivot, like understanding lucid dreaming. And I mean, I'm not like a good at it, because lucid dreaming is a skill. Like you can't just be like, yeah, I do it every day. Like, it's something that like needs practice, and like you need to put intention into it, and you need to actually be good at to have good experiences. But learning about lucid dreaming and understanding what it meant, and understanding that it is in fact reality, to me has been pivotal in my like journey, here, as far as like my like philosophical journey, and understanding the nature of reality and the nature of experiences, because anyone out there who has truly gone lucid in a dream can tell you that it is profoundly real, like profoundly. Like it feels exactly like this. Exactly. Like to your brain, there's no difference when you're experiencing it. So I've gone lucid a handful of times. And I don't know about you, Ben, but for me, the first couple times I just got so excited I could not handle it and I woke up. Like I like
it's a balancing act.
Freaked out. I'm like, oh my God, no way. Like I can't believe it. This is actually a dream. And it's like, whoop, I'm awake. It's like,
it's a balance between you. It's really funny. You when you're fully dreaming, you're unaware, and when you start to become aware, you want to think, and it creates some brain activity. And if you think too much and do too much, you create enough brain activity to become awake, right? So there's two things that can happen when you lose that balance. You either wake up or you can fall back into being unaware in the dream. So it's a very, very funny, weird problem to have because, like you said, you're now like taking in this experience and you even want to, make things happen. And yet if you are too aggressive about it, then you'll wake yourself up.
Totally. And the other thing that I found so interesting was that like, because the idea is if you become lucid, you can do anything. You can go crazy. You can fly. You can anything. You're in a consequence-free environment. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself like, oh yeah, well this is great. I'm just gonna like call up like 10 supermodels and invite them all over, and I'll just go crazy in my dreams, And I actually remember going lucid one time and looking over and like seeing a gorgeous woman on a bench, and I'm like, oh, here she is. Like here it is. But then I'm like, what am I going to do? Like go over and start groping her or something? You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't do that. And it made me realize that like I am still quintessentially myself in my dreams. Even though I'm in a place that I know is like a consequence-free environment, I don't become a new person because I'm there. So therefore I can't just like choose to fly, choose to, have an orgy with supermodels, choose to throw fire out of my hands or anything like that, because I don't do those things in real life. And I actually started living my life differently because I realized that I was passing on opportunities in my dreams all the time. Like an opportunity would show up and it would be like, it's like, here it is, take it or leave it. And I would be like, oh, I'm nervous. No. And then I wouldn't do it. And then I wake up and I'd be like, why would I not do that? And I realized that I needed to change my behavior in my real life in order for my behavior in my dreams and eventually lucid dreams to actually be able to change too. So if opportunities presented myself in the real life, I would like started to look at them differently and be like, no, I need to say yes. And like when things show up, you need to go after them, So it's interesting because like my journey and all of that ended up kind of changing the way that I approached living too. And I think virtual reality has a seat here at this table, where it's like there's life and then there's dreams and then there's VR. And right now we're using like bricks, these massive computer heavy bricks that are hot and like gears are turning in there and stuff. But like, it's just going to get lighter. We're just going to keep peeling away layers and layers and layers and layers. And like, what do you think VR technology is going to look like in the next, I don't know, 20 years or so?
It's a good question. I think it's going to be a long time until, so a lot of people ask the question about like, the Matrix just literally plugging into your brain, right? That is just so far away. There is interesting research right now happening in BCI, brain-computer interfaces. Very, very fascinating stuff, but it's extremely preliminary. And for the most part, it's basically it's read not write, and that's going to be the really challenging part. But again, because we know the dreams, we know that when you're dreaming, your brain there's electrical signals that are activating in the right way to create that experience for you. If we can go in and replicate those electrical signals, we can do the same thing, right? So I think it is possible actually to have maybe not a giant needle in the back of the head, but to directly, control the brain, like direct VR, if you will, full dive VR. That's not going to happen in our lifetime. I'm almost certain. I don't think that's going to happen not in my lifetime. So I'm not too concerned about that. In the next 20 years, I think you're right. It's going to be slimmer, easier. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting crossover between AR and VR. You're probably going to have a lot of devices that do both, and you'll wear, one in the home, and maybe you'll have a different one for when you go out. But one of the most interesting things to me, I think, is I don't know that people appreciate how much the technology will start to feel like part of us. If you have ever had the experience of leaving your home and driving to the grocery store and you realize, I don't have my smartphone, you're like, oh man, like I feel naked, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a part of me missing, right? I'd love to not have that feeling necessarily, but that is how I have felt leaving the home. It's like I'm cut off, right? I can't retrieve information. I can't communicate with people that aren't here. That feeling of like, oh, I'm like naked or I'm like missing this essential thing is, I think, going to be really far more intense when we reach the point where we have AR glasses on that are seamless, that are as useful as our smartphones. Like, you know, the reason you feel naked when you don't have the smartphone is because of these like abstract capabilities in the phone. But when you don't have your glasses on, it's like, I can't see as well, like not because they're prescription, but because like they're not showing me a bunch of information around stuff that's relevant to me, right? It's going to be this whole new level of all these like rich perceptual senses, not just reading text on a screen and being able to send a text message, but I can't have my friend appear right here, right now and talk to them. I can't manifest, you know, an object that I want right here. It's just like, you know, vision and hearing are going to feel augmented in a way that a smartphone certainly doesn't do. And when you don't have that, when you walk out of your house without the glasses, you're going to be like, am I even seeing all of reality right now?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take a long time to get there, but I guarantee that will be the experience of being without that stuff once we have it. And that's kind of like the beginning of broad like cyborgism, right? People becoming so, I mean, our smartphones are already essential to our daily lives. Now we're talking about things that are constantly changing our perception or will be constantly changing our perception. They will just become part of us almost.
You know, I'm a little fringe from time to time. You know, I've like been down the rabbit hole a few times and I've like done some deep, like, you know, martial arts, like spiritual work and stuff. And I'm wholly in the camp of manifesting my own reality. I'm over here literally manifesting all of this stuff. And then like, I just wake up 2 years later and I'm like in a new career and I'm like, sweet, I did it. You know, like, it's like, I'm like, I feel like I'm awake in a dream all the time. Especially like talking to people. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever had conversations in your dreams. I'm sure you probably have. Or, you know, you've broken up with someone in a dream, or you've had sex with someone in a dream. Like, that was you talking to yourself. That was you having sex with yourself in your head. You know what I mean? And then I wake up and I like have a conversation with my wife, or I have a conversation with Skiva, and I'm like, how separate are we really? You know, like, it's like that. It makes it very easy for me to realize that like we're all the same, you know, like we're all one. And like, there's this illusion that I'm talking to this other guy over here, but you know, consciousness is consciousness, just like my dreams are dreams, you know? So I often, like, a lot of these lines kind of get blurred for me. And I sometimes look at this technology, like my phone, and I say to myself, like, oh, this is telepathy. This is telepathic communication. I can take a thought from my brain and send it and implant it into somebody else's brain on the other side of the planet. And they're going to get the message. I can say, meet me at Big Ben at 4 p.m. on May 50th. And we can never talk in our entire lives. And bam, they will be at Big Ben. You know what I mean? So to me, that is like a manifestation of our ability to communicate telepathically. And we're currently having to use a tool much in the same way that I would have to like trick myself into learning how to do that in a dream, you know? So I wonder, will we ever get to a point where like we realize that we actually can manifest anything and we can put the tool down and I can just be like vibing and actually do some telepathy, you know? Like, it sounds insane, but do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I think maybe not that direct experience of telepathy, but this reminds me of, well, doesn't remind me, I think is similar in the direction that we are probably heading overall as a species, which is like the smartphones and all this stuff, and the AR glasses going forward, it's all going to be the beginning of a hive mind, right? The globe is essentially that already. It's just really, really slow. So I can send you that message and we have to go walk to that place, or we have to take a plane to meet there. And it takes me what, 10 seconds to get out my phone and get that into your head, right? What happens when it takes 2 seconds to do that? It's like a little faster, right? A little faster. You can get back to me in 2 seconds. Like, oh, he has some information I don't have in like 4 seconds round trip, right? If I can get that to you, your brain is starting to become a useful store of information for me, right? Now, let's take that down to, let's say somehow we have a technology that can get the thought out of my head into my phone and send it to you without me physically typing it in, get that message to you in a half a second, and you can get back to me in a half a second. Get that time small enough, and like you said, how different, are you from me at that point? If I can ask you a question and get information that only exists in your head in a half a second or a quarter second or a millisecond, we're kind of almost brain sharing at that point. Now imagine that on a large scale with millions of people. That I think is kind of this future direction of connectedness, and I don't see it going any other way, right? And this is all like your 1,000, 10,000 year type long-term stuff, but I just don't see that not happening because of the way that all of our technology is trending to connect us. And I think it's one of the most fundamentally interesting things about it all is it's all built, for us. It's all built not just for the individual, but also to interact with other people. Like, the core is the human, and the more we realize that, the more interesting, just like with VR, all of our technology is becoming.
Yeah. And like the point you were making earlier about duality, like, I know that it's inescapable. Like, there's no such thing as a good experience without the knowledge or the existence of a bad one. So we're never going to fully escape it, but this train of thought is what like leads me more into a utopian kind of perspective, because if we're all truly connected and brain sharing, like, will we not choose a vibration that is comfortable? Like, we're all participating at that point. And if, and I guess it's like, maybe we already are, right? Like, it's up to me to choose which vibration I'm going to participate in. And I've chosen to be a good dude, rather than like out there like murdering or whatever it is. You know what I mean? There's like people out there who are participating in energy that is absolutely low vibration and not good and not fun to be a part of. You know what I mean? But without the existence of that, how much fun am I actually having? So I understand that we can't escape it, but I do feel like if we really are connected at such a level that we basically don't even need to ask each other questions anymore, then I can't help but feel like that would probably be a good feeling. Like, it would be free flowing and smooth, as opposed to like a bunch of friction and like a bunch of problems, although I'm sure they would manifest. I'm just not exactly sure how.
This is all fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It is fascinating. Like I said, it gets a little fringe.
We're getting far afield.
Like, it gets a little fringe with me sometimes, like I really do, like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm awake in a dream. You know what I mean? Like,
I think for all intents and purposes, I think you kind of are.
Well, and if I am dreaming, then what's preventing me from throwing flames out of my hand, other than letting go of the idea that I can't, or a collective consciousness where 50% of everyone contributing to reality all say, yes, you can do that. Because maybe that's what it takes. Maybe it's like more of a collective consciousness thing, and we just need everyone in the world to be on the same page, connected and contributing to the same reality, not a bunch of conflicting ones. And then whatever the majority contribution is, it's basically what everyone's going to be experiencing primarily. So if we can just get everyone to contribute to the idea that the world is in harmony and we can communicate telepathically, and that everyone has access to food, shelter, and health, like, we all just contribute to that, then what is to prevent that from being what we experience?
Yeah, as we're able to communicate faster and faster with less and less friction, and be able to share and exchange data super quickly, you see right now how that's manifesting with technology flying through the roof faster than it's ever been in the past, right? I mean, just, look back to like 1960, wasn't really that long ago, right? But look at how far we've come as we get more and more, as we're able to do these things faster, like you guys were talking about, we're going to start to be able to unlock some of these things. How, whatever's possible will become a lot more evident, a lot faster. And I think we will maybe get to that point.
You guys were touching on the idea of kind of being awake in a dream, kind of relating to like, yeah, this could be a dream or this could be a simulation, right? We could already be in the simulation. That's a fun question everybody's probably thought about, presented very well in the Matrix. I wrote a really interesting article, interesting to me anyway, recently about scientists who believe that they have an experimental test to answer the question whether or not we're in a reality or whether or not we're in a simulation. And I find it very interesting because like I've had that thought and it's almost a frustrating one. Like this very well could be a simulation. There'd be basically no way to tell. It's kind of, my conclusion is like it would just be impossible. You're always going to be stuck with the question. But there are a handful of serious scientists, mathematicians who think that there are ways to at least test the question, right? And maybe the answer is we're not. But at least if we were, some of these experiments they propose could potentially reveal this. And I won't go into the details of those because they're pretty math heavy, essentially they're proposing if we were to build a simulation like this, it would probably be based on quantum computing. And if it were based on quantum computing, it would have these limitations. So let's go look for these limitations. If we observe them, we have some good evidence that this reality might be based on that. But there was another guy, not a scientist, more of a philosopher, who this one I hadn't ever heard before, but it's so simple. It's very interesting. He basically proposed that it might be a terrible, it might be the worst thing that we could possibly do to answer the question whether or not we are in a simulation. He argues that if we made a simulation like this, we would be, doing experiments, running A/B tests, whatever, on the society or whatever to answer questions. And once that simulation became aware that it was in a simulation, it would probably throw the usefulness completely off. It'd throw the experiment off, and we'd just shut it down, and we'd start a new one, and we'd try again. So, this guy very interestingly argues that were we to conclusively prove that we're in a simulation, and that result starts to change how society works and what people think, that could be the end of it all. That could be the moment that they go, no more need for this simulation, it's over. And I thought that was very interesting.
That is really interesting. That's super interesting. There's a lot of different things and a lot of different rabbit holes you can dive down with this whole thing. And I'm sure you know that, right? But one of the things that I think is super interesting, and I'm not condoning the use of any kind of drugs here, so anyone knows, but I think DMT is one of the most interesting things that you can think of when trying to figure out if we're in a simulation or not, right? Because this is a chemical that is naturally produced in all living things' brains, and when you do an excessive amount of it, you are kind of torn out of reality, and everyone goes to the same place and sees the same things, and there's like a collective experience that happens that everyone is like, oh yeah, that happened to me too. This is what happens. You can find this stuff all over the place, and it's really interesting that it's a chemical that's present in our brain at all time, and our body is so efficient at fighting it off. So I mean, there's definitely a lot of roads you can go down for simulation theory and whether life, how real is life, and I think we're inventing a new technology right now, virtual reality, that's going to start making a lot of people question these types of things and kind of start looking for answers. And I really hope that is not the outcome, right? Where we're like, oh, wow, we are in a simulation. Everyone's like, oh, wow. And then chink, someone shuts it off. That'd be a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, then it's unfathomable.
Right.
It's completely unfathomable. I can't fathom that. I can't wrap my head around that.
It's pretty wild.
I can barely wrap my head around dying normally.
Yeah.
Like I can kind of wrap my head around that. I'm pretty sure I have some idea of what's going on there, but to imagine that my perspective of reality is just happening within a simulation that can just have the plug pulled on it at any moment. I don't know.
Did I poison your mind?
I'm broken. It does not.
Are you gonna be thinking about this all night now?
I have 404. Yeah, it's just. I mean, I've entertained simulation theory before, but it's just insane to fathom that might be a potential. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And
it's interesting too that one day we might very well build those simulations, and we're with this VR stuff, we're kind of at the very cusp of that. And the things that people are building today are going to become the paradigms that will inform all of that, like way into the future, which is kind of a crazy thing to think about. It's a very, very fascinating medium to be like right at this point where anybody could, you know, make the next new interesting thing or figure out the next awesome headset technology that's going to make it that much more real for us.
Dude, I gotta say, TV lately is crushing it. Like, just like these like science fiction shows that are like taking a look at like maybe 100 years from now, 150, 200 years, like Black Mirror and Upload and Made for Love and Electric Dreams, and just all of these shows that are like taking this conversation and then like making an interesting story out of the potential of some of that stuff. Yeah. Like the stuff that they are presenting as like what maybe we'll be looking at in the future, I think is phenomenal. Like, I think there's no better place to look at what the future could potentially look like than some of the media that these people are making. Like the idea of what would happen if we were able to extract our consciousness from our brains and upload it onto like a hard drive somewhere. Like what would that look like? And what would be some of the problems that exist with that, you know? And like Black Mirror, you know, there's an episode of VR where they just have this little like piece of clay, or it's like a little button, and they just put it on their temple and boom, like it takes over the brain waves, just like you were saying, Ben, and then like manifests a brand new experience. It's like, I love that. I think that is such a great guess at what it could potentially be looking like. And then of course, you know, it's Black Mirror. So, and then we're looking at like, what are some of the potential terrible problems that could happen as a result of that? They don't really focus on the euphoric because that's not interesting.
It doesn't sell.
Right. Yeah. It's not, and everyone lived happy ever after on the first page. Like, no, you know, like you need.
That's one of the most, I think, effective means of this this awareness thing that we're talking about with these issues, right? The interplay between science fiction, just very creative people thinking about like what if things worked this way, and the actual technology that people who in many cases are inspired by what somebody else just thought would be interesting and end up being like, we could build that, we should do that. Like, that's really, really fascinating. And yeah, Black Mirror and shows like that are really creatively looking into these potential like dystopic pitfalls, I think that's extremely effective. It creates a like kind of a cultural touchstone that allows people who may not sit around like us musing about these philosophical questions and, you know, where meta's heading, all that, be entertained and introduced to these ideas. So in the same way that, you know, you can look at a sci-fi book that has inspired technology that we want, people are also able to see these little beacons of like, let's try to steer around that, you know, possible horrible outcome. Right. So it is very useful way to bring that awareness in a way that people want to watch, and it's great for having conversations about it too. And yeah, the more awareness really around this stuff, the better.
You're hitting the nail on the head, dude. It's like, rather than, because when we get to that point with VR where it is full dive, we won't be like, well, and you know, its full dive simulation has finally reached 100% immersion. You can just be like, guess what? The Matrix is here. And everyone will be like, oh, okay. You know, like they're going to know, like the Matrix is that cultural touch point for the full dive immersion. We've been using it ever since that movie came out. So people will do that with Black Mirror. They'll do that with some of these other shows. And then when that starts rearing its head, they'll say, hey, don't let that get Black Mirror. You know, like there is that cultural touchstone.
Absolutely. So like this feeling a little Black Mirror to me, right? Yeah, 100%.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's a great point to make. We're getting pretty close to wrapping it up, but maybe there's something over there, Ben, that we haven't had a chance to get to that you think is important. Maybe about VR, about the industry, about you or Road to VR, about this conversation that we've been having. I just want to bounce the ball into your court one more time before we wrap it up.
Sure. Yeah, I think something that sort of occupies my brain on a daily basis is really we're talking about these grand concepts, and it's very fun. But I also tend to think down in the terms of like, I put on a headset and how does it work for me? And a lot of that stuff is surprisingly not like nailed yet. Like there are so many so many sort of low-hanging fruits to be plucked yet, even though we're, by some people's measure, we're like VR's been around for a long time now. There's still so much to do. And really, it's fertile ground for anybody who wants to hop in and start figuring these things out and helping things move along. So yeah, I think maybe one good thing to sort of wrap up on is for people who are like, oh, this is interesting, but like I'm like behind the wave, like everyone's already kind of established in there. Like, really, no, like, get in here, bring your talent and your knowledge into this space, because there is a million things to figure out. There's a million great games that have yet to be made, and experiences that people still want to have in VR that have not even been close to touched on. So the more people we have here in the industry, the more diverse ideas that are in here, like the more everybody is better off. So yeah, kind of just want to encourage people, if you've just been watching, find out where you can participate too.
Amen, dude. That's like, I try to say that as often as I can without sounding like, I don't know, like a preacher or something, but like, totally get in here, people. You know, like, this conversation here has been great. As far as I'm concerned, like, this is like a quintessential Between Realities episode. You know what I mean? Like, it's about VR, but then we dive and we really start to get into it. And that is something that we decided that we really thought the space could use. Like, there's a lot of VR podcasts, and there's a lot of news VR podcasts, and there's other, gaming VR podcasts and this and that, which we become from time to time, depending on who we have on the show. But at the end of the day, these conversations about VR are what we thought that we could help happen. We should be peeling away layers of this, because this is some serious stuff, so we're not the only ones who are having conversations about VR. We know all of you guys at home are having conversations with your friends about VR. Maybe you have a perspective or a twist on it that it might be unique to you. Double down on that, right? Like, lean into that a little bit and realize that could potentially be your way to participate in all of this. So I think that's great advice, Ben. Thanks.
And if you are looking for an awesome career or a way to someplace to bring your talents and your skills and engineering or anything that will benefit an industry, this industry needs all the amazing brains it can get to push it forward, to bring this technology to where we all potentially want it to be. There's a lot of jobs right now. There's a lot of places looking to bring people in. There's a lot to be done. So if you can contribute and you love VR, come on, let's do it. Let's go.
Ben Lang from Road to VR, thank you so much for doing this, dude. This was a great time, great conversation. I am so happy that you decided to join us and come and be on the show. And door is always open here, my friend. Please, hit us up when you're ready to talk about more.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. It was really fun.
So glad you enjoyed it, dude. Everyone say goodbye to Ben Lang from Road to VR.
Bye-bye, Ben.
Bye. And boom, he's gone. And that's it. Never to be seen again.
Never.
Oh, it's Arcanian flying in with the end of the show super chat.
Oh, thank you.
It is $4.49, and I'm pretty sure that's a pound. And it says, to my fellow one-ironauts. One-ironauts. This episode is WILD. That spells wild. It was a little wild.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm talking about, dude. This was a Between Realities episode, baby.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about.
Agreed.
Peel away some layers.
Agreed.
Get to the root of some of this stuff. Have a nice philosophical, maybe a little weird conversation, bring up some fringe ideas and, try to manifest a reality where I can put my phone down and just telepathically send you a message.
Someday we'll be doing a podcast like this.
Yeah, we'll just beam it into your brains, and you'll actually be able to absorb it all in 1 second. It won't take 90 minutes. You'll just like bam, instantly, bam, you saw the whole thing. So, I guess we'll just have to keep talking about it until it gets here. Everybody who has been here for the live show, thank you for being here. Thank you for participating in chat with us, and thank you for being weird with us. We're a bunch of weird dreaming, like lucid dreaming, VR headset wearing cosmonauts, and it's a pleasure and an honor to have you all here with us. Traveling Man, Arcanian, Chi-Town D, Mickey Burr, Papa Boney in VR, Chroma Snare, Paradise Decay, Kevin Hilt snuck in here, Butter Something, Ashley Huffman, you know, my wife Brittany slid in here for a second, hearing me talk about a bunch of weird stuff that I always talk about at home. VR Bros was here, V-Roy Boy, Mepper was here. Guess you have to go back to the start. Mepper, you just got to restart it, Mepper. That's all there is to it. Duggars K, you know, everybody else. Thank you for watching the live stream. If you did not see the live stream, maybe you're watching this on Upload VR after the fact. Thank you. Thank you for supporting Between Realities and Upload VR and Road to VR, right? We had Ben Lang on the show today. What's happening next week?
Next week. So next week you're traveling.
I'm traveling. I'm the traveling man next week.
And then the week after, we're traveling because we'll be at the Augmented World Expo. So we're going to try to figure out how to make an episode happen on Friday. If we do, it'll be a premiere. It won't be live. But yeah, we got lots of planes, lots of flying around to do in the next couple of weeks. We are going to try to bring you guys some content at least next week, but then we're going to be gone for the Augmented World Expo, where we will be bringing you lots of coverage about all of the things happening on Upload and on Between Realities. And yeah, it's going to be great. We'll see a lot of you people that are in the chat right here in real life, giving lots of high fives and hugs.
Seriously,
and it'll be fantastic.
Cannot wait for AWE. It's weird to think that this might be the last show before we do it. Surgical Gaming, cheers. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I'm really excited for AWE. I think it's going to be amazing. And I'm going to try, I haven't even mentioned this to you yet. I think we should do a Between Realities takeover of Upload stuff. Right, like get on their Twitter and like post on Upload. Like I want to like infiltrate Upload for the time that we're at AWE. I'm gonna pitch it.
Let's hook up with Basti again, and we'll get them to hack their accounts for us.
Right. Well, I've seen people do like takeovers. Like someone takes over their social. Like I think it's a perfect opportunity. So I'm gonna try to get us to get the keys to the Upload castle if we can. Kyle, if you're listening to this, feel free to bring it up. I think that's it. Doc Chalk, thank you for your super chat today. Thank you all for the super chats, Patreons. Let's maybe play some video games this weekend, people.
Yes.
Jump into our Discord. There's a multiplayer channel. I've been getting in there in the mornings a lot lately. If you're a morning player, hit me up. If you're a night player, hit up Skiva. And if you want to play in the afternoon, maybe you'll get both of us. Who knows?
Let's do it.
Maybe you'll see us Friday. Maybe you'll see us in 100 years. Who knows? But thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure. I'm
Love
Alex.
You guys.
That's Skiva. Between Realities. See you next time.
Bye-bye.